Well, hello, my fabulous friends. I hope you're doing well. Well, I'm going to do a past life reading on Catherine, the Princess of Wales. I've been doing these past life readings. This is a special reading I learned about 10 years ago. It's a fabulous, fantastic reading to find out why you do some of the things you do, or the connections that you brought over from a previous life. It can answer a lot of questions for you, actually. And I've been doing now a couple of these as examples. I just want to remind you, this is a high level example. I'm just touching on a few things. When I do your own reading, I go much, 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 much deeper. So to do this reading, you have to separate all the cards into majors and minors, to suits and into courts. So I've done all that, so we don't have to do that online. But what I am going to do, I'm going to give our positive message from our forest friends. Some of you need to hear this nice little peaceful message this time of year. Maybe you've been out crazy shopping today, or you're feeling lonely because you aren't with your family, or you're just chillaxing. It's the weekend. But anyways, let's get into it. What do our forest friends, our winter forest frequencies, what message do they have for us today? Ooh, guidance. Look beyond the veil of fear. What do you know to be true when your mind is still? Trust your inner wisdom and you can't go astray. And this is from the barn owl spirit. So wisdom, guidance. Use your own wisdom and guidance. Go with your gut feeling. You know, if you think that that's not a good deal, don't do it. Or if you think this person would really like this gift, then go for it. Trust your inner wisdom. All right, so without further ado, let's get started. So the first thing I start with is, what gender was Catherine? And remember, I'm just going back one lifetime ago. So we're talking about the 1820s, 40s-ish, that era. One lifetime ago. So first thing we ask is, what gender? What gender? What gender? And I've already explained that we're using the terms that they used back then, which was male, female, man, woman. We're not going to use any modern pronouns. So gender, what gender was Catherine in her previous lifetime? I just did William, so it'll be interesting to see what Catherine's was. What was Catherine's gender in her previous lifetime? Oh, male. If you haven't watched Williams, go watch Williams. King of Canes, so King of Swords. And you know, I'm going to say something here. I don't mean this derogatory or anything. I'm just telling you the echo that's going on. How many people call her the Ice Queen? Or say she's so cold, or she's hard to get to know, or she doesn't hug. I'm not saying that's true at all. Don't get me wrong. I'm just telling you the persona that sometimes surrounds her. As an earth sign, I imagine she's quite affectionate. But it's interesting that this persona, being a king of swords, very exact. And you know, you think about how she dresses very conservatively, like, I don't think it's just because she's going to be the queen. I think that's her style. I couldn't see her in like a lot of floofy ruffles, romantic kind of dress. To me, those suits on her look amazing. And I think that's because she still has an echo of that might be her main persona, this very well put together, conservative, exacting kind of person. So that's interesting. So Kate was a male in her previous life. So let's put these back together, or back where they were. Okay. All right. So now we're going to talk about her father figure, and if her father was around growing up. So now we're talking about the childhood, the house that she grew up in. Well, I guess she would have been a he, the house that he grew up in. And this is important to know because we need to know what formed their personality. what form? So in what was the father there? If the father's in reverse, that means the father left the home during her childhood, before she turned 18. So Catherine's previous life, her father, the personality, the persona of her father. King of Gifts, so King of Pentacles in reverse. So the father left the home before she turned 18. So now we go to Swords, and we ask the Swords, did her father die, or did he leave by divorce? Or was he put in jail or something? The clock is right in there. So we ask the Swords, did her father leave, or did he pass away? Oh, Three of Canes. He died. Probably had a heart attack. Or maybe possibly some kind of surgery back then. I know they could do really, basic. It was actually the barber who did your dental work or cut something out, but it looks like a heart attack or some kind of surgery. All right, so now let's ask about her mother, or his mother. So Catherine's previous life, what can you tell us about her mother, or his mother? What was Catherine, Princess of Wales, in her previous life? What was the personality of her mother? What was the personality of her mother? What was the personality of her mother? Oh, Queen of Good Cheer. Queen of Good Cheer. So she had a very emotionally stable mother, even though the father passed away. I don't know why when I see this card, I think of somebody who drinks a little bit too much. Interestingly, there's a crystal ball there. Queen of Good Cheer. So her mother was still there. So now let's see. So she grew up in a home where her father passed away. Let's see how was the home for happiness? What was the general emotional, like the mother was emotionally stable. She didn't go off the deep end when her husband passed away. And these two would have gotten along great. The Pentacles and the Cups, the water and the earth. Especially with the King of Pentacles here, he would have really been supportive of his wife. Like he would have been, what do I want to say? He would have provided enough for her that she could have pursued any kind of goals that she wanted. All right. So let's see, what was the emotional aspect of Catherine's childhood? Seven of Good Cheer. It was mixed. It was kind of mixed. It was kind of confusing for her. She had good times and bad times. So let's see if that had anything to do with finances. Let's see what was the general finances of the household. And of course, also with this being a 7, her father would have passed away in her early teens, like just over halfway between 0 and 18, right? So because 7 would be, just in her early teens, like maybe 13, 14. That's when her father would have passed away, which is kind of a terrible time for a person to lose a father. And I wonder if that's why she was sympathetic to Harry, because Harry lost his mother around the same age she would have been in her previous life that she lost her father. See what I mean? These create bridges. It's crazy. Okay, so what was the financial aspect of her household growing up? What was the financial aspect of her household growing up? 9 of Gifts. Well, they were wealthy. They were definitely wealthy. But also then we see the mother there alone. So maybe, maybe was there a good insurance policy? Maybe she came from a wealthy family, but I'm going to double check here. And I forgot to do that for William, but I'm going to do it for Catherine. So did she have a stepfather? Did she have a stepfather? I forgot to do it for William, but I doubled down and I went back and I did it. But I didn't do it in order. I talk too much. Did Catherine have a stepfather? Did her mother remarry? No, King of Gifts in reverse, same one. Isn't that interesting? No, you know what? And also the King of Gifts could have been a very wealthy man. So they might have had wealth to their own doing. But emotionally it was tough after her dad died. For her mom, that was her one and only husband. She never remarried. And that doesn't mean she didn't have male friends. It just means that she never remarried. Didn't have anything really significant. And that really lines up with this 9 of Gifts, that her mother stayed single into old age and just lived a very luxurious lifestyle. So the home was a little bit mixed up here. Even though her mother was stable, of course, something tragic like that happens to the family. But if they had money, that might have helped her mother be quite stable. All right, so now we're going to look at how did her personality develop over the years. So we start with pages. So how was Catherine in her last lifetime as a child? How was she 0 to 18? What was her general overall personality 0 to 18? Ooh, Page of Candles in reverse. A little bit rambunctious. Maybe not interested in school. Really kind of stubborn and wanting to do things her own way. But I would say not very scholastic, not very, could have been a somewhat of a loner of a child. Didn't want to participate that much in life. Didn't prefer traveling. Let's see, how was she then as a young adult? 0, so we're looking at 18 to 35. 18 to 35. What was her life like, 18 to 35? Knight of Gifts. Yeah, you know what? She preferred being alone with a book. This Knight of Gifts, she could have been, because this is Knight of Pentacles, she could have been a young mother. She could have been married right away and could have been a young mother. Because that's what the Queen of Pentacles would, let's see what she matured into. So I'm thinking here with a pentacle here, and the Knight of Pentacles, I'm thinking, I just mixed that up, didn't I? She was a he. She was a he. Oh, sorry. I'm getting all excited here. I just realized he was a he. Catherine was a he, so I apologize. And I know a lot of people complain I mix things up. I have a minor dyslexia. I can't even say the word. I'm so embarrassed. And I reverse a lot of things a lot of times. Numbers, especially letters and words or people. And my husband never asked me how to drive because I'll say turn left and I mean right. I'm not kidding. Okay, so it looks like as a child, he was a bit rambunctious, might have been a bit of a bully, might have had some acting out, really wasn't that much into sports. And that actually shows up here as the Knight of Gifts. Really wanted to settle down, possibly went to school. We'll check and see what his occupation was, but possibly went to school as a young adult. Interesting that as a child wasn't that interested in school, but then as a young adult became very interested in going to school. And we have to remember she showed up as the King of Swords. Well, that's your lawyers, your judges, your politicians. That could have been something that she had to go to school for. So it's interesting that as a young adult, we have the Knight of Gifts, which is the Knight of Pentacles, which could indicate some schooling. All right, so let's see, how was he as a mature adult, so over age 35? What was his personality traits? How is he as a mature adult? How is he, Catherine's previous life as a male, how is he as a mature adult? Ooh, King of Candles. Okay. Well, a very good husband, entrepreneur, very good provider. Um, enjoyed traveling. They did a lot of traveling, or he did, but a very good, a real good mix. Actually, the King of Candles is the card of the King of Wands is the best husband in all the court cards. So a very good husband, which is interesting because he lost his father at a young age. So maybe he just went over the top, being a good dad to his children. All right. Well, that's a great mixture between King of Swords and King of Candles. I wonder if he was a surgeon. I wonder if he was a surgeon and that's why he went to school. And maybe, maybe the dad did die from surgery or heart attack and became a surgeon to heal his father. All right. So now we've got generally how they grew, the personality, the household they grew up in. So now we're going to look and see what kind of partner did Catherine have at that time. And I don't ask the cards which gender. We're going to assume it was a female because she was a male back then. But we're going to see what kind of personality the partner had. Was the partner younger, older, still childlike, quiet, boisterous, fun-loving? Let's see what was the personality of the person, because back then there was no same-sex marriage. So, and yes, a lot of people had fake marriages to hide the fact that they had, a backroom lover. But we're going to look and see what was the partner like, the public profile partner, I guess is a good way to put it. So we're not looking for gender because we're going to assume gender. We're looking for personality. We're looking for personality. What kind of personality did Catherine have as a man? King of Gifts. Okay, in reverse. So this tells me that there was definitely more than one relationship. This King of Gifts, this would have been somebody who, so he was a man, so this would have been a female that could have been old-fashioned, stubborn, I'm going to say it, lazy. But they left the relationship quite early. They left the relationship quite. So let's see. Was there a second relationship? Was there a second relationship? Was there a second public relationship? Catherine as a man. What was his wife like? What was his wife like? Oh wow! Knight of Candles. So we have we have 2 relationships here. This again, this Knight of Candles, this would have been somebody again who didn't want to move, who didn't want to travel, quite a little bit younger, or could have been a different class, right? Back then, class was very important. So it could have been somebody who was just a different class. I just want to point out, maybe these 2 partners didn't want to wait until he was settled, or maybe his mother didn't like them for whatever reason, because back then you listened to your parents. But they definitely, we've got 2 relationships here that didn't survive. Let's put it that way. Let's see what was, and it did show it was later in life that he became a husband. Here we go. Page of Canes. Well, this makes more sense. So later in life, his wife was quite a bit younger than him, and intellectual. and especially if he went to school and was, perhaps he was the king of swords, king of wands, so probably an entrepreneur. Like I said, that's my doctor signature. So if he was a physician, he would have wanted somebody who was a little bit more intellectual, but definitely he married somebody quite a bit younger than him, which might have been the case if he was older. Back then, you married to have children. That was part of the reason as well. It wasn't just a arm candy. If he was well over 35 when he got married, he would not marry somebody of his own age. He would have married somebody quite a bit younger, so that they could produce heirs, offspring for him. So it looks like he had the third relationship was the one that he got married. He married an intellectual, so maybe perhaps he was a professor at a school, and this was, a student. I'm not talking elementary school, I'm talking like college, right? If he had his doctorate in something, then, he would have met somebody, as a professor, right? Which, when you think about it, look at this bridge I'm building right now. William and Kate met at university. William and Kate met at university. Yeah. So anyways, Catherine's wife at that time was quite a bit younger. So let's see, did they have an emotionally stable relationship? How was their household? What kind of household did Catherine make with her husband? How was their household? How is their household? What kind of relationship did Catherine make with her husband? Okay. Six of good cheer. So that would be Six of Cups. Yeah, they actually had lots of family around them. They followed family traditions. I think they got along quite well. They made sure the children all got along quite well. And that would overall generally a very happy family. Six of good cheer. So let's see, were they financially stable? Were they financially stable? I think it was really important for them that the children got along and played well. It was important for them that the children grew up in a safe environment, a trustworthy environment. And then look at the environment that Catherine's making this time for her children. That they're in a safe environment, that they grow up happy and healthy, and they do a lot of things as a family, and she makes sure that they're around all the traditions of both their families, of her family and William's family. She makes sure that the children go to on the balcony and to all the concerts and celebrations, that they're a big part of it, and that shows that she did that in her last lifetime as the father as well. So let's see, what was their financial household like? What was their financial household like as a family and a couple? Four of gifts. Well, they obviously had to have a budget, be kind of careful with their money. I wonder if they were in some kind of situation where they just kind of were waiting for his mom to pass away. But you know what? At the same time, you have a big family, you have big expenses. You know what? And I think they've mentioned that that the family that Catherine grew up in, it was plush, but it certainly wasn't royalty wealth or really wealthy, right? And they did have to kind of watch their pennies, and in the end, they, due to different circumstances, the family did kind of not do that, did that well with that business. So she definitely, as the father, they might have had money, but might have been really frugal with the money. Also, you know what I'm getting this vibe? Like, doesn't that look more like a professor's attire? You can just imagine the corduroy pants and the green sweater and brown shoes. I'm wondering now if, well, we're going to get to occupation right away. If he was a teacher, and that wouldn't have made as much money if he was an actual surgeon. Or he just was very, very frugal, very frugal. And we see Catherine in this lifetime repurposing a lot of her clothes and her hats, and she doesn't seem very extravagant with her money, not like her sister-in-law, right? Who thinks nothing of wearing, a $3,000 sweater. Catherine seems to rein that in a little bit more. So maybe that some of that frugality is spilling over. All right, so now we're going to ask about what kind of occupation did Catherine have in her previous life? What kind of occupation did Catherine have in her previous life? What kind of occupation did Catherine have in her previous life? Let's see, what kind of occupation did Catherine have in her previous life? Let's see, what kind of occupation did Catherine have in her previous life? What kind of occupation did Catherine have in her previous life? What kind of occupation did Catherine have in her previous life? Oh, interesting cut. Oh, the child in reverse. Okay, let's get to, let's see, what was that? Reckless, risk taker, gambler, scattered, goalless, irresponsible. Isn't that interesting? Maybe that's why maybe he was like a serial entrepreneur, and that's why they had to be a little bit frugal and watch their pennies. I wonder. Took foolish risks, gambler. That's interesting. That doesn't apply to this life at all, does it? And it's in reverse. So it almost feels like job to job to job to job. That's really interesting. Goalless, irresponsible, negligent. That doesn't sound like Catherine at all, does it? Well, that's what the card said. I mean, maybe this lifetime, because she was so irresponsible and whatnot, maybe that's why she's so responsible in this lifetime. Maybe that's why she just seems so responsible. And everything she does her best. And, like even you look at George's tests, like, she had a goal that she was going to help George with his tests. Like, it seems like she has goals this time, and she has a lot of responsibilities, and she's carrying them out to her utmost. So I think let's see. So she was goalless and didn't have any responsibility. What was her sole purpose? What was her sole purpose? What was her sole purpose in that lifetime? What was that sole purpose in her lifetime? And was she successful at it? Was she successful at it? What was her sole purpose in that lifetime? And was she successful at it? Or he. What was his sole purpose, and was he successful at it? Wow. He was supposed to be a leader. The Holy King, the Emperor. Oh, now she gets to be the Queen. So, to develop your masculinity, to be a strong leader, to be a good father, to learn to take control of your own life, to live by your own rules, to develop your own opinions. Wow, to correct the balance between control and force. And he was very unsuccessful at that. I remember he started out as the King of Swords. Um, I wonder if to protect and defend. Um, I think in some respects, he did his best to provide a home for the children, for that the children grew up with a lot of ancestry and family around them and whatnot. But he was not successful um, as a man, as you know, being taking risks and doing entrepreneur. I wonder if that's why, in the end, he became a professor. Um, that he gave up on entrepreneurship and being a leader, but yet that was his sole purpose. That was his sole purpose to be a leader. And then look at in this lifetime, Catherine gets to be queen. She gets to become that leader, but in the feminine side. So she didn't do well with the masculine side. So this time she's trying to do it with the feminine side, and she's doing actually everything opposite of what she failed at with her occupation and her sole purpose. Seems like interesting. It's so interesting. I brought up that her parents failed at a business. I wonder if that's like part of her soul lessons, or like it's just that that echo is there. That the uh, party, I don't know what it's called, party something, is in bankruptcy, and it was mostly due to COVID and the expansion and whatnot. And so that's interesting that was part of, maybe that's a soul family lesson about building up businesses and losing them at the same time. And then in this, so let's ask, what's her soul purpose in this lifetime? Let's see, what's Catherine's soul purpose in this lifetime? What's her soul purpose in this lifetime? I'm wondering if part of her soul family is, to learn about business failures, or taking risks, or being successful at business. That's interesting that her parents in this lifetime have lost a business, and yet in her previous lifetime she's lost businesses from foolish risks and gambling, not necessarily poker, but gambling with business. Okay, what's her soul lesson this lifetime? That was an interesting cut. The Emperor in reverse. So she didn't learn. Honestly, that's why I shuffled them in front of you. She didn't learn it last time, and so she has to learn it this time. To develop your masculinity. Wonder why? No, I don't think that's it. I think she's a very, very good balance of feminine and masculine. She's a strong female, but she's still very feminine in the beautiful sense. To be a strong leader, to be a good father, well, she can't do that. To learn to take control of your own life, to live by your own rules, to develop your own opinions. Just, you know what? Just look at her when she got out of that car. Queens aren't supposed to show their legs above the knee, and she developed her own rule there, and she did it quite well, actually. To learn and correct the balance between control and force, to lead by example and not by threat. Well, the threat is Meghan Markle. To be fearless and courageous, to protect and defend your family beliefs position. Wow. To be honest and fair, to be someone who can be trusted and respected for their strong principles, standards, and morals. So that's what she's come in to do. I believe it's in reverse because this is a lifelong lesson for her. It won't be considered successful until she gets to the end, if she carries this right through her whole life. But it looks like she's on her way, doesn't it? So this is telling me that She was unsuccessful in her soul purpose in her previous life. So it's coming through in this life so she can learn it again. And I think the only parts is the masculine part of it. But you can still be a strong leader as a female. And she is taking charge of a lot of things. And yet now you think about it, you think about the suit she's wearing all of a sudden, that she's wearing these pantsuits. Um, that gives more of a leadership role, leadership vibe, more of a showing her masculine side. Very, very interesting. See how the bridge starts to form and how this is in her current life. Wow. Very interesting, Catherine. Very, very interesting. I really enjoyed reading this read, actually. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. I sure appreciate you. If you want your own past life reading, the link is down below. And don't forget, like, your reading is much more comprehensive. I go a lot deeper. We go into different aspects of your life. You know, did you travel a lot? What was your emotional life like? How did you make your money, etc., etc. Did you have brothers and sisters, for example? How did you die? We go way, way, way deep into that. Where I don't have time to do this, I'm just doing the high level past life on it. All right. Thank you very much for watching. I sure appreciate you. Take good care. See you online. Bye for now.